All right, everybody, good afternoon. Welcome to the NFL Week 3 rooting guide post-mortem. We're just going to go through the results of the last week, talk about what it means for the Seahawks potentially. Some of these games obviously don't mean much, but almost every game means something, even if that something is like some tiny little iota of meaning. So, um, let's go ahead and start with the Monday games because they're listed at the top, even though they happened last because they just happened. So let's go through these results and try to figure out what meaning the Seahawks can derive from the games. So it was kind of a weird week overall, where the big stuff went our way, but there was just enough little stuff that didn't go our way that it gave you a little bit of pause. But it's not going to overrule the big stuff, right? So the big stuff was obviously within the division mostly, and maybe you could say a little bit with the Cowboys. But other than that, there were a lot of NFC teams that kind of kept alive. Excuse me. Still getting over this, by the way, guys. Still not where I want to be. All right, so real quick, the Monday night games last night. The Commanders won, which, hey, AFC on NFC, you're always going to want the AFC team to win. And the Commanders are now 2-1. Say what you will. That looks like a team that could be annoying. I don't think they're good, but they could be annoying this year. And don't count them out. Don't count them out. I think they technically lead that division right now because they have the tiebreaker over Philadelphia. So until they're actually dead, you don't bury them, right? Jaguars Bills. We played the Bills this year for strength of schedule reasons. I kind of wanted the Bills to win, and they did. Also, I think that it behooves us for the Bills to stockpile wins before we play them. I don't want to play a Bills team that is like angry that they just got off to a bad start on the season. I think it's a little bit different. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. All right, so that's the Monday night doubleheader from last night. Real quick before we go on, I hope you like this video. If you do, please click the thumbs up button down below. Helps the channel out. Subscribe if you're new. Click the bell for notifications. Click join to become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to help support. Okay, so the Thursday game, Patriots-Jets, didn't really matter for the Seahawks at all. There's really no angle there. I kind of wanted the Jets to win just because we play the Jets later and we've already played the Patriots, and I want the Jets to have a lot of wins banked when we play them so that the mentality that they bring coming into the game isn't one of like desperation where they have to have the win to stay alive in the wild card or something. So I did want them to win, and they did. But that's debatable. Some people would argue the other way. Some people would argue that we would have preferred that the Jets lose. And I can certainly see an argument for saying that, like, oh, what if the Jets lose this game and then go on a big losing streak, and by the time you play them, they're out of it and they're mentally defeated? Maybe, but I don't think that's likely. I think that Jets team is good enough to compete for the playoffs in the AFC. Okay, now we get to Sunday's action, and we got some minor... I mean, this stuff doesn't really matter that much, but you're always trying to find a little something to pull you one way or the other in football games, I think. So, if you want to be technical about it, we did want the Giants to lose to the Browns, and that didn't happen. And, you know, that NFC East is might be pretty sad this year. I don't want to count the Giants in, but I don't really want to count them out either at this point. So, Giants moved to 1-2, so their season stays alive, and there's actually a lot of random 1-2 teams out there that are just barely clinging to life right now, which also could make the trade deadline a little more boring. But certainly not the end of the world, certainly not a big result, but technically speaking, we wanted Cleveland to win. Packers Titans, that was another one where I was leaving Green Bay for dead after the Jordan Love injury, and now they've reeled off 2 straight with Malik Willis, and this one they were pretty dominant. So I don't really know what to make of this anymore, right? I don't know what to think about Green Bay right now. Like, they did not look that good in week 1. I was not impressed, and ever since Malik Willis went in there, suddenly they found this really weird formula of running the ball like they're a 1940s team most of the time that, I mean, hey, it is getting it done, and it's pretty cool to see, and it does lend a lot of credence to the idea that Green Bay is just kind of a quarterback factory, right? It's not that Jordan Love is the greatest quarterback ever. It's just that Green Bay makes their quarterbacks look good because they got a nice system and they're finding a way to make things work, even with somebody like Malik Willis, who we know didn't look like an NFL quarterback when he was in Tennessee. So that was disappointing because Green Bay's alive now. Green Bay is very much alive. Love might be back this week, by the way. Colts beat the Bears. This was a little bit of a relief. I keep telling people, be careful about the Bears. If they fix that offensive line, that is a good team. Now, I don't think there's anything they can do to fix the offensive line right now, but I didn't need them getting a bunch of wins early in the season and starting off strong and starting to, like, build momentum. Because that is a team with a good defense. They have good skill position players. Caleb Williams is a good quarterback, but you gotta block, and right now the Bears can't do it. They might be the one team that has a worse offensive line than us right now. It's probably Bears, Patriots, Seahawks for the 3 worst offensive lines in football, if I had to guess. Texans, Vikings, yeah, nothing cooking. Nothing doing here. I guess the Vikings are just good. I think we just have to conclude that for the moment. I will continue to believe that Sam Darnold will eventually go the way that Sam Darnold usually goes. But you got to give it up to Kevin O'Connell. He's doing a phenomenal job right now. And if this holds up, he should win Coach of the Year in, like, a unanimous decision. And they're going to be a thorn in the NFC. They're going to be a problem in the conference. So not the preferred result there. If it weren't for that, we'd be sitting pretty much alone at the top of the NFC, right? Yeah, we would be. We'd be the only 3-0 team. But it wasn't even close, so you can't even act like it's the one that got away. Philly beat New Orleans, which was great. Admittedly, there are some concerns with it down the line. There is a scenario where both teams are a playoff contender, and Seattle is trying to edge both of them. Whereas you could have argued that if the Saints win, then Philly's going to start to get pushed out of the way early. But for the moment, since the Seahawks are doing well and the division for this NFC West is not doing that well, I think you want to shoot for the stars a little bit now, and you want to say that you want pretty much any good NFC team to lose and get knocked down as much as possible, so maybe you can make a play for a top seed. So I think it's a good result for Philly to win. I'm not completely convinced it ends up that way, but I'm going to certainly be happy about it for the time being. Chargers Steelers really didn't mean anything to us. There's no angle here. I got nothing. It's just a football game that gets played. Big one here, though. Might be a big one. It felt like a big one because I wasn't expecting it. Broncos blow out the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. So is Tampa Bay actually not that good? Was it just I don't know what it was. But it was a kind of a beatdown. And for a Tampa Bay team that was off to a really nice 2-0 start, that's a significant setback. And looking at it and trying to get a feel for what it represents, I do think it means that at this point you have to conclude the Saints are the best team in that division. They lost a tough game to Philly, right? That was a kind of an unlucky game to lose. And Tampa looked so bad in this Denver game against a Denver team that we know is not even average. You kind of have to think they're a little back to earth, but Tampa Bay has some real issues with that. Like, they can't really run the ball, right? They got some real issues on that roster with being able to run the ball, and it feels like that's going to hold them back because they don't have a great quarterback. They got a good quarterback. They got a pretty good one. They got an all right one. He does his job. He's decent, but you know, Tampa definitely took that back to earth punch in the mouth. Panthers Raiders, again, it doesn't really matter that much, and it was actually kind of interesting to see the Panthers just sub in a new quarterback and immediately just remember how to play football. Wild stuff. I think that if you were interested in Bryce Young, that game should have been like the ultimate cure. All right? The main reason why Carolina sucks is because they had a bad quarterback. Washed up Andy Dalton goes in there and plays one of the best games of his career. That is what a competent quarterback can do for you, even when things aren't going perfectly around you. And Bryce Young can't do it. So I will say that should cure anybody of the Bryce Young bug because he's bad. He's bad at football. Um, but yeah, we did want Carolina to lose technically, but I'm not going to pretend like it really matters that much. I don't think Carolina is going to suddenly spring to life and go on some big playoff run. That's a little much. Ravens Cowboys, great result. A little bit of drama at the end there, but Cowboys 1-2, and you look at the Cowboys schedule, by the way. Go look at the Cowboys schedule. It's absolutely brutal. They really could end up like a 7-win team this year. It would not shock me because I think that defense might just genuinely be bad at this point, and they have a high profile weapon on offense, but they don't really have much around him, man. Like CD and to a certain extent Jake Ferguson, it's not what you want. Not what you want otherwise. They got no running game. I think that Cowboys team might actually fall on their face this year. Of course, the big one this week was San Fran versus LA. LA comes through for us, wins the game at the buzzer, game-winning field goal. Ridiculous game for the Niners to lose, of course, by the way. That's disaster loss. That game was over, and then they just found very creative ways to blow it. And with this combined with all the problems that the Niners are having right now injury-wise, it's time to actually start wondering. Because I said in a video yesterday that I think that the Niners are going to do whatever it takes to stay in it, but there will come a point where they just have to throw their hands up in the air. Like, if Purdy's actually inhibited by his injury, I don't think they can overcome that. So we'll have to see where that goes, but the problems are piling up. Detroit comes through against Arizona. That's obviously big. I'm still not believing in Arizona, really, but I didn't need them to start 2-0 with 2 impressive wins, and beating Detroit would have been a pretty impressive win. So shout out to the Lions. And also, the Lions go to a 2-1 before we play them. That would have been a lot better than 1-2 in my book, while also not looking invincible. So that's a very good one. Also a pretty good one. Chiefs knock the Falcons down to 1-2. Falcons, I don't want to say they're dead yet, but you can start digging the hole. Kirk Cousins just doesn't really look comfortable back there. He just doesn't look right. And I think that that's going to be enough to make sure they can't really make any noise this year. They barely hung alive with a very fluky Monday night win last week. So this week, I think that, this week, I think with that loss, where they did play well, don't get me wrong. I know some people are going to say, oh, Atlanta looked really good. Yeah, they did, but is Kirk Cousins going to actually start looking like the old Kirk Cousins at any point this year? I thought he would. Now I'm not so sure, and I'm thinking maybe I got a little ahead of myself. I don't know, and I'm not saying they're not a dangerous team. They definitely are a dangerous team, but that is not that Falcons offense is not where it should be yet. 3 points in the second half at home against Kansas City is not what I was expecting from that offense. I was expecting far more explosive stuff. Okay. So that's it for the postmortem for week 3. It was a good week. Could have been a little bit better, but I'm not against what we got out there. So I'll see you guys later today. More videos are coming. Probably stream on Twitch. And if I don't see you there, then I'll see you in the next video. Everyone have a good day. Go Hawks. And things are shaping up decently for us, wouldn't you say?